I would probably go McDavid. Oh, let me go live on Facebook too here. I'd go McDavid. McDavid P. Maybe McDavid McDavid Matthews PD Draisaitl, I think would be my 4. But I would go Scheifele over Tavares, but I do think I would say Tavares is a close 6, but I would definitely give it to Scheifele. I think PD plays better defense as well. So, but you can make the argument for Peter. I mean, look how Pedersen went further with the Canucks than Leafs and Oilers did in the playoffs. I think that has to be for something.
Yeah. Yeah, you can, like you said, after McDavid, I think you can make an argument for all 3 of them. I think Matthews probably has the best argument right now, but I can listen to arguments for all 3, and then, but like I said, I think it's Scheifele over Tavares, and I don't think it's close. I think Scheifele is completely underrated by a lot of people because he's not on a big market team. Yes, he's on a Canadian team, but Winnipeg doesn't get nearly the national coverage that the other. Like the main teams of Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and even Calgary and Edmonton get.
No, that's true. I guess what I would say it's closer is no disrespect to Scheifele. I do agree he's underrated, but I do think that there's things. It's part of Tavares' game is underrated. Like, I think he could be better defensively. Not better than Scheifele defensively. That's not what I was saying, but I think he could be better than people think should. If I went top 10, I would probably go. Horvat would be somewhere in there. That would probably be my next one on the list, but he's not in the top 5. Devin, where is Devin?
See here. All right, let's just go, and if Devin shows up, he can hop in. If not, we can just go the 2 of us.
We are live. You really are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Saturday edition of the Hockey Podcast. We are live from Burnaby and Calgary, not some fancy studios, our own homes. You can follow us, of course, on Twitter at podcast_hockey. You can also join us and like us on Facebook or follow us on Facebook, the Hockey Podcast. We're live on Facebook, also live on YouTube. You can subscribe there to the Hockey Podcast, and as well subscribe when this podcast is up, Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever your podcasts you get your podcasts. Sean, we are killing penalties today. What, like, we normally have we're the extra attacker version of the Hockey Podcast, where we have 6 attackers. We're the defensemen. Where is everyone?
I mean, it's this weird off-season time in December.
Yes.
And I think everyone's just trying to stay sane and stay without just trying to stay sane and not lose their minds in this weird Christmas time where we don't have hockey. You can't have Christmas parties. You can't go out to the bar with your friends, and there's all that. But yeah, we're penalty killing today, Kevin. We're the shorthanded special teams unit, and we may be shorthanded, but let's go. Let's get a shorthanded goal.
Let's get a shorthanded goal. Yeah. So if you have any questions, of course, get us there. We'll get us there. Help us, give us an assist, a pass, jump on the ice as we pull that. We got lots to cover. We do have to start with the big story. It is an international story. We don't have to spend a hell of a lot of time on this, but I'm trying to be Mark Donnelly doing the national anthem by just being silent and let someone else speak. Did that go over? It went over.
I had no idea what you were doing, Kev.
Mark Donnelly, former Vancouver Canucks national anthem singer, was reported yesterday by the Vancouver newspapers that he is singing at an anti-mask rally today. And Francisco, Canuck fans would have none of it. Canucks radio would have none of it. And Francisco Aquilini, in a mere 3 hours, put out a tweet: correct this, Vancouver Sun. He is no longer a singer for the Vancouver Canucks. Fired on Twitter, at least probably, I would assume, told in some way, shape, or form. Personally, he's no longer the Canucks national anthem singer, but I think just adding the Twitter element to it to let the fan base know, to let the community know this is over. I don't think he had any other choice, really. I think that this was the only thing that he could do. I think for PR, I think just even a health and safety thing, you can't have a guy on an anti-mask rally being a representative in such a huge brand like the Vancouver Canucks. To me, this was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I already thought that Donnelly was on his way out. He's had other issues in the past with going to rallies and protests about divisive issues. But they were if you look back, they were already distancing themselves from Mark Donnelly for the past 2 years. We've seen more and more anthems from Marie Huey and others. And Mark Donnelly was not part of the bubble, any sort of presentation, anthems during the bubble for the Canucks. I think part of the reason Francesco released what he did was because they had already done a lot of the legwork on distancing themselves from him and moving on to two different anthem singers, and specifically Marie Huey as someone who's going to replace him. He did a few games, some key games, just because he's got the clout and the people know who he is, and his shtick of letting the crowd sing the anthem, but it's when you go off and do something like this and make a big deal of it, like he has, you're putting yourself out there for criticism, and you're putting yourself out there in a position where you could potentially lose a gig that he had with the Canucks, and he did. The Canucks put out a statement earlier that was very corporate, very, for lack of a better word, soft in terms of how they approached it, but they couldn't do anything more from a corporate standpoint. There's people out there that are still very that are going to be on the side of Mark Donnelly, who are Canucks fans. There are people out, and the Canucks aren't just a Vancouver brand, they are a BC brand. And there are people out there who fall along the lines of Mark Donnelly's political and humanistic views for right or wrong. And are you really willing to go off and make a very large corporate statement that could alienate a significant portion of your fans? No, but the Canucks did do, I think they did a decent job of that corporately, and then they were able to, and then Eklund came in swinging, hitting a grand slam out of the park with a statement saying that he's a former anthem singer. And I think that was, personally, I think that has happened before this, and he wanted to clarify that he has been pushed out, and he's no longer part of the Canucks organization as the anthem singer. And I said I think it's the right move to make, because we need to be working together to fix this global pandemic. And part of what needs to happen is for people to understand that, yes, masks are uncomfortable. Yes, it sucks to wear them when you go out to the grocery store, or if you're lucky enough to be out in the rural areas where you have to wear them in
Sorry if I was distracting you. I was looking for the tweet.
Yeah, before you do it, but yeah, if you're anywhere in public and you have to wear them, yeah, it sucks, but that's just the way it is. They do mitigate the transmission of this horrible disease that's been basically put the world on pause for almost a year now, and it's going to keep society from being what was quote unquote normal for at least another year. So we need to do it. Like the more people we can get on board for doing this, the better, and that they understand that. So yeah, I think it was just a good little, if they did it the way I think they did, where they soft pedaled the corporate side with Trent Carroll's statement from the brand of the Canucks, and then they let Francesco Aquilini come in with a big comical hammer and show that they mean business. Then I think it's the right move, because you can argue that the Canucks as a corporate entity distance themselves enough, but then Frankie comes in and just makes things clear without muddying the waters for the Canucks corporate side.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. Here's a bottom line, though, folks, and I'm going to be a little bit blunt here. Wear your damn mask. Like, just, I don't understand. I'm sorry to get political here, but I don't understand the difficulty in this. Nobody is asking you to do anything more than just wear a mask. Like, it's simply, that's it. It's a health and safety issue. Wear a mask. This is not an imposement of your freedoms. This is this is just completely stupid. Just wear your mask. Like, nobody, like, it's not like we're sacrificing an arm or a leg or an ear. Just, we're asking someone to put a mask on your face while you're going outside. You may not look sexy, but maybe like me, you look a little bit better looking wearing a mask, just wear a mask. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why the hell this is just a big thing. Gosh, like seriously, like you're minus 40. Are you not going to wear a toque? Well, it's an infringement of my rights. I have a right to have my ears frozen off at minus 40. Like, why are people so stupid? Seriously, God. So I don't know what else to say. Like, it's anyway. Like, if I and I don't understand why we need a government to tell us to wear a mask. It has to be a law. Just wear a damn mask.
Yeah, anyway. Like I said, I agree with you there, Kevin. Please wear your masks. Like the science is behind it. Where anytime you can put a barrier up that can potentially that can keep. Especially now, honestly, like I know I'm not an expert at all, but when you look at the numbers and how they're jumping around the world during winter up in the northern hemisphere, and they jumped down in the southern hemisphere during our summer, their winter. I think there's definitely something with when it comes to your breath when it's colder. So please wear a mask, wear a face shield, because that's your other option. You can wear a face shield. That is just as effective, if not more. And if you're feeling claustrophobic by wearing a mask over your mouth, wear a face shield. They're available, widely available as well. And they are significantly more effective, and they make a huge difference in terms of what you're able to do out publicly and feeling safe. And it's time that we really we really step up and start doing this, because if we don't, then you're hampering our ability to go back to what we want is normal. And that is being able to go to hockey games, being able to go to bars with your friends and watch hockey, being able to have your friends over to watch hockey. I'm keeping it with hockey themed here, Kev, because we're a hockey podcast.
Yeah, hockey podcast.
One of my favorite things to do at the beginning of hockey season is to go to the pub and do a hockey draft, fantasy hockey draft. You're not going to be able to do that at this point. Even the playoffs was interesting because we did do that, but we had like 3 or 4 tables of people, and we're shouting across the bar trying to get our get our picks in. Like, it's like the harder we fight these restrictions, the longer they're going to have to be in place for. And we also need to be understanding that this is a new disease it's just over a year old. We're still trying to figure it out. And the facts, I wouldn't say the facts change, but the conclusions and hypothesis change based off of the information that comes out every week or so. And we need to please let's band together. Let's stop yelling and shaming people for trying to figure this shit out, and let's educate people. Let's be patient. Let's try and come together and fit and make this a lot less stressful and of a situation than it currently is.
Yeah, and I mean, for people trying to figure things out, I'm not out here to shame you, but like, it's a very simple request to wear I don't think asking someone to wear a mask is confusing. You wear a mask. Like, that's trying to figure out other things about what to do with their life. I'm not going to get into that. That's your decision, and I'm not here to judge you. I think people are generally trying their best through this. And to move this quickly to the NHL, as I transition, good transition hockey here by Kevil on the penalty kill. The NHL Pierre LeBrun reported that the NHL is considering at this point, negotiating a 56-game season. That training camp would start in the new year. Hockey would start January 15th for a 56-game season. Are you buying? It is our poll question. What is more likely, a 56-game season that starts January 15th or a 48-game season that starts February 1st?
Oh, I'm not too sure at this point. It really comes down to how hardball they want to play this this more rollback of or more deferral of salaries. If they fight that hard, it's going to be more likely February 1st start. But if either the players or the owners back off on that, they can definitely get it done and have the 56-game season starting January 15th.
I'm leaning towards more cynicism and going with I think it's going to be more likely that we get the 48. I am hoping for the 56, but I just feel a lot of what's going on here in terms of the money is causing a lot of the headaches. I'm not a financial expert, but it seems to me the owners mishandled this a little bit, and I think that that's playing a lot into this, and I think the players are doing some pushback. So I'm kind of suspecting that we're going to have a 48-game season January 1st. I am hoping that we do have I'm hoping for 56. I think the more games the better, but I'm feeling a little cynical right now, and I don't think that would be good PR for the.
I would probably go.
Oh, hang on here. What the heck is going on? I've got another noise here. One moment. There. Okay. Sorry, the YouTube link was on I was getting an echo. I'm thinking we're getting 48, but I'm hoping more games the better.
I think the more I think about it, I think I'm leaning towards the 48 games because of a couple of reasons. One is what you mentioned with the financial side of things. The other thing is it's also financially related. The less games the teams have to play without any sort of fans and full arenas, the better for some of these owners. There is, like, you think about it, like, they don't play, they aren't paying a lot of people. And they're not turning on the lights, they're not spending the money to keep the ice cool and everything like that. And there's no travel. There's a lot of expenses that kick in once the season starts. But if they do, like I said, if they do play, all those they kick in. So if you cut the season from 56 to 48 games, then that cuts some of the expenses for owners who are really struggling, because there's a lot of owners who are hospitality based, and hospitality has been is it fair to say it's the hardest hit industry throughout this pandemic, because of no travel, no restaurants, no bars, everything like that. So I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of owners are really hurting, and they need to they're to say that they are better off financially to not play the season. It is a fair statement, and you have to find a way to make it work so you don't lose a whole season. You don't lose the public being in the public's vision, because I think that's huge. Like, we can talk about what's everyone doing now these days to try and stay busy and to watch something. How many people have started watching different leagues of soccer, football? I know Heidi and I started watching Bayern Munich and started watching Liverpool a little more consistently. I've gotten into F1, watching racing, and everyone's finding new ways to get in, new things to watch, and changing their viewing patterns. And the more time the NHL spends out of the limelight, out of not being in, allowing people to get and watch other sports, other activities, other TV shows, or get into other activities where they aren't even watching TV or anything like that, the worse they're off. Like, it's going to survive in Canada. We're hockey mad up here, but in the States, where they've got a lot more options, they've got NFL football being played. The NBA is coming back here pretty soon. It's gonna take away some viewership for sure, and they need to. And I think they know that. Bettman, all the owners know that, so they know that even though they're going to lose money this season because of that, they know that long term it's going to help them to stay in and to play this season. So I think it's going to happen, but I really struggle to see it. The more I think about it, the more I think that anything over 50 games is going to be, we'll be lucky to get.
Yeah, I also think that the other things that are going to start shaking the NHL here, and this does affect Canada, is the Raptors. People are going to watch, like, Christmas. You're not going to have a hell of a lot to do. I mean, yes, you can watch your diehard Christmas movie. That's fine. You can debate that. You can all that, but you are also going to need some fresh content, and the Raptors are going to give that to you. The NBA is going to give that to you. You've got that. The World Juniors are going to get people starting to really get back into that hockey mode. We'll get into that, by the way, in this podcast. So I think the NHL needs to make sure that they're at least on the ball there. And I'm thinking of places like Buffalo as an example, where they can, in terms of an American team, like where the Bills are probably number one, but the Sabres would be number two. And the Sabres haven't played. If this starts in February, that's 11 months without a Buffalo Sabres hockey game. Pretty close, right? Because it ended in March. So that is not a brand. That's a brand that has done so terrible the last decade. Like, it was one of the worst run organizations in the National Hockey League. It cannot be out of the limelight like this. Even Ottawa, even the Senators, they cannot be, like, as much as they're building something that everybody's getting excited about, they can't be out of the limelight. Like, they cannot be on the eye. Like, they can't afford that. So they need to get back at it. I'm just not sure where people are at here. And I mean, the other thing that I don't know if this is possible, how this works, but in terms of fans, but like in the vaccine, I think I'm sort of in the wait and see where we're at with the vaccine. Hopeful, but wait and see how that schedule looks too. Like, because as Vancouver and as followers of the Canucks and the Flames, remember, you and Heidi were going to come out here to Vancouver to watch that Canucks Flames game. Tyler and I went out over there to watch 1 year ago almost, to watch the Flames and Canucks over Christmas. There's still that going to be once the travel is up. You don't think that the Flames fans and the Oiler fans and the Canuck fans are going to want to travel to see some of these games? Like that's going to be a part of the schedule. I'm going to be very interested in as well. But
yeah, it's don't even forget the fans in Flames and Oilers fans in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Jets fans in Saskatchewan, all of the Vancouver Canucks fans throughout BC, they're gonna want to go to these games. So that's the biggest issue is how do they get fans in the stands, and how do they, so that the owners aren't losing money and they can build on that. And part and parcel for that, for all the fans trying to plant, like, that love looking at cap situations and all that, how quickly we can get out from this stagnant cap situation.
Yeah,
that is the NHL is going to be saddled with for, I think, the better part of a decade.
Yeah, this
so,
this economically will hit it for a decade for sure.
Yep. So it's but like I said, it's just they got to find a way to make it work, and I know that they know that they need to play despite the fact that they're going to lose money, because in today's day and age, you need to stay in the public eye. You need to stay in the limelight, and that's why they I think that's why they got the reverse retros going out. They're like, well, that's easy money. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy money. It gets you back in the limelight, gets people talking, whether it is bashing the Dallas Stars all white jerseys or loving the Flames blasty, or the argument of whether or not the Canucks jersey is good or bad. Like, it's great. It's still content. You gets people talking. You're not just like, say, the CFL, where no one's talking about the CFL.
Nope.
So you need eyes on your product. You need people talking about it. And like I said, up in Canada, we're fine. I think all 7 teams are going to be okay out of this. There may be owners that need to sell, but there's going to be people who will buy, because it's hockey in Canada.
Yeah.
But for long-term health of those franchises will not, I don't think they'll take a hit, but I don't think it's going to be horrible. But there are going to be some franchises down in the States that are going to take a massive hit. And it's not even going to be the ones that we always talk about. It's not going to be the Floridas or the Arizonas, because they were already struggling that badly. And I don't think this really changes much for them at all. It's going to be some of those middling markets. The Carolinas, I think is one that I think, if they didn't have Tom Dundon, who's got a lot of money behind him to get him through this, but they're gonna hurt. But yeah, it's fine. I just want hockey back, Kevin. Please, can we have some on ice stuff to talk about, as opposed to anthem singers and.
Yeah. By the way, just on a side note, before we get into there, I just want to bring it. I'm going to ask whoever's listening out there, if you can make us a hockey podcast mask that we could sell, we would love you. We would seriously love you. Merch, just saying. We need money too. But the one other thing I do want to say, like, I know that we've talked about the owners and the players and their financial situation, but there have been people that work at these arenas that have not had an income for 11 months. And yes, okay, there's the CREB and all of that, that's been there, but they've been without work for a year. And I really, for them, I would love to see them be able to get back into the rink and work. I think that that's really important as well. And I appreciate that every organization paid them up to a certain point, up to May, but that's still June, July, August, September, October. That's still 7 months, possibly 10 months without income. And I don't think that that's been talked about enough in that.
It's just, that's the reality with a lot of people too, right? It's not just people in sports related, it's everything. There's a lot of people still looking for jobs and looking for consistent income that isn't relying on EI or CERB now. So it's but again, that comes back to we got to get through this, and hopefully the vaccines come in and we can start living our lives but somewhat normally again.
Yeah. Okay, let's do something fun. Let's talk some on ice here. And so there are still some restricted free agents out there that are, if you want to play the game of the offer sheet, it's not something that I think a lot of NHL teams are going to do, but we are going to do it here. We are going to play which would you offer sheet if you had the chance and the money to do it. Do you want to start? How do you want to play this? How do you want to do this?
Well, I'm a Canucks fan, so if the Canucks had the cap space and the draft capital to make it work, it's a no-brainer for me. It's Anthony Cirelli with a bullet Like if you keep the Canucks, that would give the Canucks down the middle, Pettersson, Horvat, Cirelli. Like you've got like Cirelli's played at a sulky level last year. He can be your third line shutdown defensive center, and that allows Horvat to be a little more offensive. He doesn't have to be the matchup center, and that he'll thrive under that. And plus, it'll help Petey as well. So, like to me, it's a no brainer. Like as much as you have Barzal and Dubois are absolute fantastic options as well, but in terms of fit and what you're looking for going forwards, to me, it's Anthony Cirelli, and it's not even close. If I was running the Canucks, and yeah, it just makes the most sense. So it comes down to team structure and building a lineup that is built to win in the playoffs.
Okay. I'll do the Flames. I have two in mind. Then I'm going to give an honorable mention, and this may be a hot take for some people, but I'm going to give this as an honorable mention, and some will laugh, but I would consider Ethan Bear. A right shot defenseman, has a high upside. I don't think you're as strong on the right side as you are on the left, for sure. Youth on that defense, I think, helps. I would highly consider Ethan Bear would be my number 2 option, and I think some people may find that ridiculous, but I would seriously consider it. Number 1 though would be Pierre-Luc Dubois. For me, I think if I would he would fit right into that top 6. You could put him with Tkachuk and Lindholm as a line. You can play him with Mangiapane. It allows you, if you want, if that's still in play, to trade Sean Monahan. It gives you a lot of different options. So my 2 I would consider is Pierre-Luc Dubois and Ethan Bear.
Yeah, I can't argue against Dubois. I think, you got Barzal, who's an absolute game-changing center, but he's not on the bigger side of things of players, and Dubois plays a big game, and I think that's something that the Flames need. Barzal should be your 1A in my opinion, but in terms of if you're looking at defensemen, especially on the right side defense, to me, Ethan Bear is your best option, and it's not even close. We talked about Eric Chernak last week with Devin, and then Felipe Myers with Philadelphia is also a restricted free agent, is also quite good. But in my opinion, I think Ethan Bear is the best available right shot defenseman on the RFA market. And if that's the hole you're looking to fill, he is to me the best option out there. I think he's got higher ceiling than both Myers and Chernak, which is the reason why I think he's got to me is someone you take the risk on for giving up picks and overpaying, because that's what you have to do with offer sheets. But the other defenseman that I think deserves a look in this is Vince Dunn. He's buried in St. Louis. He's on their third pair, and I think he's a legit top 4 defenseman, can move the puck, very good skater, and has some offensive upside that he hasn't tapped yet because he's not playing up in the lineup and not getting the power play minutes that I think he deserves. So he already had 9 goals last year. So like I said, I think Vince Dunn is someone that, if you're looking for a defenseman, I think you could even try him on the right side. He's that skilled. He's one of those players I think is skilled enough to play the right side and is offside. So but yeah, like I said, Dubois I think fits in terms of fit, makes a lot of sense for the Flames if you're going to go that route.
Here's where I think with Barzal, I have a couple of concerns. I'm not disputing his talent, and I'm not disputing what he's going to mean to the Islanders franchise, but Trotz benched him a couple of times. And with a guy like Dubois, he played with Torts, who is a hard-nosed, hard-ass coach. I think that type of player is what the Flames need more of than the Barzal skill. I'm not saying that, but and I just I that's to me where I have the edge. I just that Trotz Barzal relationship I think is interesting. I don't think it's like at the front, but it does seem like Trotz has had to make sure that Barzal's mind is on this game a little bit more than I think people have realized.
Yeah, that's fair. But Barzal was also playing over 20 minutes a game, even with those benchings, right? So he's Trotz. I think that's just Trotz being Trotz like working with Barzal to make sure that he stays on his game, because he knows as the Islanders go with how well Barzal's playing in a game is how well the Islanders play in the game. Yeah. He's the skilled player who drives the bus and drives the offense for the Islanders. So I think that's just, again, he's only 23 years old. He's coming off his ELC. Like, he's a former Calder Trophy winner. And sorry, Canucks fans, I think he did deserve it over Besser that year.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree with that.
And he's got game-changing speed and skating ability. Like, he's got the ability to skate around the offensive zone and make defensemen and the opposing players look silly. Like I said, I think he's only 23 years old, and he's got this. The sky's the limit for his ceiling, in my opinion. But like I said, I think fit wise, I think Dubois does fit better into what the Flames want to be, and I think he hasn't touched his ceiling either. So
yeah, totally, for sure. Devin was going to be on, but he's unable to join us. But for the Leafs, just for the hell of it, probably a Vince Dunn. I would probably give him a Vince Dunn or a Chernak. I would probably go to defense.
Bear. It's Ethan Bear again. Right shot. They need right shot defensemen. They've got a ton of left shot defensemen. They're very much in a similar boat as the Flames in terms of how that blue line's set up. They lost Tyson Barrie. They have Cody Ceci is not coming back for good reasons, but the right side, they don't have a really good right people on the right shot defenseman to play on the right side. So to me, if it's the Leafs, it's Ethan Bear, and it's again with a bullet. He's got some offensive upside that he hasn't quite touched yet. He's a better skater than Chernak and Felipe Myers. He's shown that he can be a bit more of a steadying force as opposed to just being a bit I'm not saying that Chernak's a passenger on the line on Tampa, but when you've got a left side that is McDonough, Hedman, and Sergachev, it's very easy to look good as a right shot defenseman.
Oh yeah, that's the best 3 left shots in the league right now.
Yeah.
I'm probably in the last 3 to 5, I would argue.
So like you said, I just see a higher upside from Ethan Bear, and like I said, and with Toronto's being very left shot heavy, just like the Flames, it makes a lot of sense to me if they're going to look at someone. They've already spent way too much money on their forwards. It's time to spend on their defense. And if they had the cap space, they don't. If they had the draft capital, I think they might be able to. Ethan Bear makes a lot of sense as a fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
For sure. Anything else on this one? Right. Let's go to the World Juniors, because it was announced this week that the Rangers will not be allowing Alexis Lafreinere to go to the World Juniors. Jack Hughes will not be at the World Juniors. And today, according to a tweet and I'm just pulling this up, Bugan, William draft eligible for William Eklund due to a positive COVID-19 test will be not participating. So a few big names not coming to the World Juniors. I think for us that are craving hockey, it doesn't matter, but this is also a showcase, unfortunately, to see some of these stars. So I do think we are losing out. And I think probably the biggest loss is Jack Hughes, because I think he could use this World Juniors to get him kind of Lafreinere too, but
Jack Hughes he's played a full season in the NHL. I don't think he needs to go back and play other guy. I know Kirby-Dac's doing it for Canada, and really good top prospect for Chicago. But I think it's a risk, especially in today's day and age. I think it's a risk. Like if I think Jack Hughes doesn't, I don't think there's anything for Jack Hughes to prove in the world at the World Junior level. So I don't see a reason why he needed to, why, especially New Jersey as well. Why would New Jersey let him go and potentially get injured? So, or catch COVID, right? That's the other issue, is don't know how the situation is. So to me, it makes a lot of sense that the players like Capo Caco and Lafreinere, Jack Hughes aren't going. I'm surprised that Doc is on Team Canada, but that's going to be a big advantage for Team Canada to have him on the roster. But I can't wait to start seeing them play. You've got for our three teams, you've got a few good prospects to watch. Someone who I think might be the best player in this tournament, and that's included even with Kirby-Dach on Team Canada, is Vasily Podkolzin. This is his last year of eligibility. Every time he plays against his peers, he plays absolutely fantastic. He's going to get a lot of ice time, which is going to be great, especially for Canucks fans who've been craving to see him get ice time. He's not getting it in SKA, but to see him play was going to be great. Leafs have a couple Russians. They've got one of the goalies, Akhtiamov, and then their forward, Amarov. And Akhtiamov, like, Russia's got Askarov, who's going to be the bona fide number one starter, I believe. So whoever, like, the Akhtiamov may get a game or two here or there for Toronto, like for Russia. But unfortunately, he's in the same position as Dustin Wolf is on Team USA, where he's the number 2 or number 3 goalie behind a bona fide superstar caliber blue chip prospect with Spencer Knight on US, and then, like I said, Yaroslav Askarov on Russia. And then going into the States, Toronto also has Nick Robertson, who played a few games for them in the bubble, and he'll be playing for the U.S. I expect him to be one of the top players as well, because he's got that experience at the NHL level, and he was absolute dominant in the OHL last year. And then the Canucks have a couple Swedish players who made their preliminary roster, Victor Persson and Arvid Kosmar, with Eklund not going, and the strength of the Swedes being on the wings. I don't be surprised if the former super late round pick Arvid Kosmar makes Team Sweden this year, and then Victor Persson with on the blue line, I could surprise and make the team as well. He's had a really good start to his season, and has shown a lot of offensive flair that they hope it can continue on. And then the Flames also have Kuznetsov on the blue line for Russia, who might make it as well. I'm not being a younger player. The Russians tend to lean heavily on their 19, 20-year-olds, and Kuznetsov's not one of those. But if he makes it, that would be a real good boom for the Flames. And then you've got the blue and white of Finland, or the Maple Leafs, because they've got 3 players who I think are going to be big contributors for Finland. They've got Kokkonen and Hervonen, who are returning players, so they're basically locks to make the Finnish team. And then they've got Niemela, who's also a blue liner, who's got some offensive upside that I think may get some heavy minutes for Finland going into this tournament. And then the Flames have the Canadian content. They got Connor Zary and Peltier, who I think both are going to make the team. Peltier, I think, is a lock, but I think Zary will. I think he'll make it, but I think he's in for a fight, especially with now that they don't have Lafreinere coming. I think they may. It opens the door a little bit more for Connor Zary to make the team as a. He'd probably be a bottom 6 player playing a more checking role, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a very interesting tournament to watch. Canada's even though they've got such a lot of high end talent up front, I would consider them an underdog because the goaltending is not up to snuff, and they're not getting enough reps in lead up to this. Spencer Knight's getting reps because the NCAA is playing hockey. You've got why am I drawing? You've got Askarov playing out in Russia. A lot of these there's the Finns and the Swedes are gonna have goalies who have played games, but Canada literally has no one who's played top level hockey this season because they're all OHL, CHL player goalies. So unfortunately, that's going to be one of the biggest hindrances to what could be a very strong Canadian team.
Let's be honest, though. Sweden is overdue to win this damn thing. Like, I mean, they pretty much have dominated everything but the medal rounds. Like, what is the record? Like something like they've lost 2 games in the last 5 years in round robin competition. It's like they're due to get this. So they are my favorites. I'm kind of leaning Sweden US at this particular point. But for Connor Zary, to me, I'm playing in a check-in role. Like, I know that's not the starring role, but I think for the Flames, that's good because that at least develops a defensive game that you want in the National Hockey League. And a lot of coaches want, even Jeff Ward will want that defensive game to start to being developed. So that's a good sign. Also probably an opportunity, because it was a weakness that a lot of people said for Connor Zary was his skating. That might be an opportunity for him to improve that. But Peltier is going to be the guy. He's got that Brad Marchand appeal about him, that comparison. I'm not saying he's Brad Marchand, but he's got a little bit of bite to his game, and I'm excited to see that for sure. And I think for Dustin Wolf, every little experience that he gets as he goes up, I think is just good for him going forward. So I'm not saying Dustin Wolf is going to be on this team within the next 3 to 5 years, or I mean, who knows, but I think it's a prospect that the Flames can have a little bit of hope of, but I wouldn't be like putting my chips in and saying Dustin Wolf's going to be a number 1 goaltender, but this experience helps him. Just being there helps him.
Oh, and especially in such a weird season, any experience you can get where you're developing with top end talent is something that you have to take advantage of. So again, for Canucks, Persson, Kosmar, and Podkolzin, it's a huge deal. For the Flames, Dustin Wolf, Peltier, Zary specifically that's a huge deal for them. And then if Kuznetsov can, as well as Kuznetsov, because I think he's a bit of a long shot to make the actual roster, but he's still going to learn from it, and that's huge for his development. the Leafs have 3 Finns that I think are going to make the roster. Akimov, I think, is going to, like, they've got 3 goaltenders, so he's guaranteed to make it. Amarov is a top end offensive should be the top end offensive star for Russia, and Nick Robertson, again, just playing hockey, getting reps is going to be huge for him, because he's expected to push for a spot on the Maple Leafs this year. So it's going to be, I think that's going to help him huge if he can come in feeling warm, feeling like as close to mid-season as possible, while a lot of these other players that he'll be fighting for roster spots have not played a single game.
Yeah, it's going to be, and it's great for them to get, as you said, finally get to play some hockey for them as well. I think will be good. And I think we'll delve in as this goes on. They're back at it. They're scheduled to be back at it, as far as we know, tomorrow. So we're supposed to be starting to see some Team Canada news next week. So we will talk about that for sure.
And just to clarify, Kev, the Team Sweden in the World Juniors has not lost a round robin game since 2006.
Is it been that long?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say for 5, I didn't want to go that. I was like, it's been a while, but I didn't want to say 2006. That's insane. Like
they've only won the tournament once in that stretch.
They're due.
Yeah, they are due. And they've got some top end talent. They've got Lucas Raymond. They've got how am I drawing the blank? They've got the top 2 Swedish players from the last draft, like who should lead the way. But like I said, I think they're one of my favorites going into this for sure. I think it's between them, Russia, and the US right now. I think Canada is a step behind because a lot of their players haven't played games other than the scrimmages. So it's going to be very interesting. Short tournament that could be full of upsets and surprises, and
with no crowd, which would be an immediate advantage. That, I think, helps some other teams as well. And let's be blunt about this. Even in Europe, that's been packed with Canadian fans too.
So it's a bucket list item for me, is to go to a World Juniors in Europe for sure. Because A, it's you get out of Canada and see the world, and B, you still get to watch really good fun hockey.
Yeah, for sure. What else do we have? Did I miss anything?
No. Well, we got Benning did an interview this week on Sportsnet 650. The couple things that came out of that for me was again continuing to nail down that he's expecting Nils Hoglander to push for a spot on the roster. He's playing out in Sweden, which is going to really help him. But I do wonder if how legit that opportunity is for Hoglander. There's a lot of people who don't think he's quite ready yet, including friend of the show Isha from the Hockey Podcast Network. But I think he's got an outside shot. Going in, if this was a normal season, I expected him to be more of an outside shot who would surprise at camp, but start in Utica and work his way up to being a call-up option going into the near the end of the season. But if he can push and be a legit option for a top 9 spot for the Canucks, that will be huge, because that adds some tenacity, that adds some skill, that adds some speed to the Canucks lineup that they desperately need with the loss of Tyler Toffoli up front. And they desperately need to see some of these younger players take that next step and push for a spot and make these veterans sweat, because they've got the top end talent, but they need some more depth. They need some more depth scoring. They need some more depth ability to play the way that Travis Green wants them to play. And Niels Hoglander, if he plays the way he should, he's someone who has that pesky pest attitude as well. I've heard the Marchand comparison for him as well. He's not the overly biggest, but he's super skilled. Everyone's seen him do a few of the lacrosse style goals. He even tried one when within the last couple of weeks. Didn't go, but he made it look smooth and he's got the brass ones to pull out to try it in the middle of games. I love players with that confidence. Yep. So and that's the biggest thing is if he comes in and plays with confidence and knows his game, knows that it's about being a bit of a pest but showing off his skill, I think he's got a decent shot at surprising many Canucks fans who are trying to hold back their expectations of him, because we've been spoiled as Canucks fans with Quinn Hughes and Petey and Horvat and Besser over the years, and even throw in a little bit of Adam Gaudette this past year. Speaking of someone who needs to take a next step this year to add that tenacity and the goal, the depth scoring and depth play. Adam Gaudette is someone who the Canucks need to be able to rely on as a legit third line center. They can't be defeating Jay Beagle out to the Wolves anymore. They need 15 plus minutes out of Adam Gaudette every game.
Yeah, and he needs. I agree. He's one of those guys. I mean, we'll talk about training camp battles probably in future podcasts, but I mean, they need him to be more I'm not saying he needs to be Sorelli, but they need 15 minutes. They need to start trusting him on a regular basis.
Either that or they need to find someone else to play that third line center role, and it can't be Brandon Sutter or Jay Beagle. Yeah. They've brought in Jace Howerluck. Maybe he can step in and surprise as a fourth line center who can build to that. You move Adam Gaudette to the right wing on, say, put him with Petey and Miller. If you're not sure that Adam Gaudette can be that center, put him there. See what he's got. You're probably experimenting with putting Jake there. Why not try with Adam Gaudette? Who apparently was dealing with a significant, significant injury, which is why he was scratched to start the playoffs. And I don't think he was 100% for the rest of the playoffs either. So, for those who said that he didn't take the proverbial brass ring at the playoffs, and when he got put back in, I think it looks like there's a unfortunate injury reason to why he wasn't able to, but he still showed showed the gumption and the tenacity that is needed. He just needs to take that next. He needs to find another gear speed wise off the hop, as well as I hope he's working on getting a little thicker, a little more mature physically throughout this offseason, just like we're hearing about Jake Virtanen working out. I hope Gaudette is working on building some more muscle mass, at least along on the legs, to get more hockey legs and be harder to knock off the puck, because if he can do that, that will be a game changer for him, because I think he does get knocked off the puck a little too easily.
One of my takeaways was what Benning said about Jake. Jake is going to have to show us that he's ready to do the things we think he's capable of, or he's going to get passed by other guys. We keep saying, how many years have we said this is a big camp for Jake Virtanen since we started? But this is a big moment for it.
It really is, because this is the make or break one for him. The last few have been big because it's he has the opportunity. He's got the opportunity, but he's also got people chasing him now, legit good blue chip prospects. Niels Hoglander is coming into camp looking to make a splash. You've got Zach McEwen, who's NHL ready now. You've got Podkolzin, who's a season away. Benning was talking about hoping that they can get Podkolzin over at the end of this season. But I think that's look under, if you dive into the details of the CBA and And when Podkolzin's contract ends with SKA, I'll be surprised if if they're able to get him over for this season. But if they do, again, that's another one for at the end of this season, who could take ice time away from Jake Virtanen.
Yeah.
So you even got Cole Lind, who's I think needs another season of seasoning in the AHL, who could push for a third or fourth line spot that could replace Jake Virtanen and if he doesn't step into a top 6 role here. The Canucks have legit young players who could pass Jake Virtanen in the depth chart and make him expendable. Yeah. The other thing is the Canucks are a better team when Jake Virtanen is playing his game properly. And that's not a prototypical power forward game, but it's still being physical when needed, using his speed to gain the zone, using his shot. And the one thing that he needs to do this upcoming season to really solidify his role in the top 9 is to drive the net consistently. Get that, I think he does need to gain a little more acceleration. I think he's missing a half step of acceleration, because if he can get that and he can lower his shoulder and just bull his way to the net like Bo Horvat does, that'll be huge. Because if he can get that half step and just drive in with his shoulder and drive the net, he's going to create so much chaos. He's going to create a lot of goals for himself and others. So it's, again, hopefully hopefully Dad 2.0 and Tyler Myers is working Jake Virtanen's ass into shape, and he comes in and we don't have a first day of camp repeat of 2019 camp where he was not in shape and got put with the AHL players as a message. So
I think one of the best things that Jake Virtanen did is move out of Vancouver and move to the Okanagan. I think that was a really smart move for him. My understanding is he's the neighborhood he's in, this is what I've heard from Jake specifically. It's more well-rounded for him, and I think that that's a good sign. He seemed to find his way in places he shouldn't have been in Vancouver, and I'm being diplomatic.
We talked about in lead up to the restart in the bubble, how he got pictured. That people got pictures of him in a bar, and as much as he was still doing everything, from the sounds of it, he was still following all the restrictions and precautions that were put into place. You can't get caught in that. You got to show your professionalism. If you're going into that, you need to just find a way to stay out of the limelight, and especially if you're someone of Jake's history, you got to find a way to step above and prove above and beyond that you've changed. And hopefully, being under, like I said, Dad 2.0 and Tyler Myers, he can find that level, find that extra little bit to be able to drive the net. Like I say, it doesn't have to be this Todd Bertuzzi-esque power forward, because you can't be that in the NHL anymore. He can't be that in the NHL anymore. He's not that type of player. He's not. He doesn't thrive on that. He's a good pest when he wants to be. He can do that, bring that, love that, but you gotta find a way to get that. Just use your speed, your shot, and your strength to your advantage, and find a way to drive the net. If you can drive the net consistently, a lot of his flaws will start flying under the radar. Yeah. Because he's going to create chaos. He's going to create goals. He's going to create scoring opportunities.
Yep, I think I don't disagree. And again, another opportunity.
To be honest, it's the same to go to the Flames. It's the same thing with Sam Bennett. He doesn't have the off ice concerns and stuff that Jake Virtanen has, but he's got some issues that really hold him back. But when he's on his game, they fly under the radar, because he's creating chaos with his physicality. He's creating chaos with his using his size in front of the net, and that's really that's the next step. He's someone that needs to take the next step for the Flames as well.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting with Bennett is a shorter season will allow him to play more, maybe play a little bit more impactful.
Yep.
That's my hope with Bennett. And I mean, there's going to be some interesting training camp battles there. I mean, you brought in Nordstrom, you brought in Dominic Simone, you brought in some depth forwards there that have the opportunity to play. And
Josh Levo,
yeah, that's another. Forgot about. Was just kind of had a brain drain there, but I do think that there's going to be some battles. I don't think Ward is going to be like Austin Zarnicking anybody here. I think especially a guy like Nordstrom who's responsible in his own end, he's going to get some ice time. I would think Nordstrom's in your top 9 as almost a lock. Maybe top.
No, I think he's more of a fourth liner who's going to be penalty killing. I think you could see him being basically a winger version of Derek Ryan, where he's a key penalty killer, but he's on your fourth line on 5-on-5.
Right, but then there's your fit there, right? You've got a spot for Nordstrom in some way. Simone, that'll be interesting where you put Josh Levo. Fourth.
Well, Levo's got the opportunity to take a top 6 role if he can come into camp. He's healthy. His knee is good, and he's got the mentality, because you can be physically fit, but if your confidence on your knee is not there, it's going to be tough. But as a fan of Josh Levo, I hope he finds a way to get in there. He deserves it. He's worked his butt off. He's not necessarily the best skater, but he's got the ability to bang and crash and and he's got a good shot. He's got an underrated shot and that the Flames could use. So and there's a lot of opportunity and openings on the right side for the Flames, all the way up to second line. So he's got the opportunity to find a spot where he, just like he was with the Canucks last year, playing on Bo Horvat and Tanner Pearson's right wing at times. So
but my point is with Bennett is it's not cinched that he's got a lineup spot. There is going to be a battle for lineup spots depending on how you look.
I'd like to see that, because they had him playing at center during the bubble, and I thought he looked well, played well there. So he's got an inside track to find a spot there, especially if they want to. But if they end up moving Lindholm to center, then is Bennett a right shot? Left shot. Okay, but he can play his off wing. I know he plays the right side at times as well. So if you want to add some bang and crash to your top 6, he's definitely an option if they decide to move Lindholm to center and Backlund to like a 3C, or move him to the wing. Like, they've got options. So I think Bennett is likely in your probably at a 95% likelihood that he is in your top 12. What role he's playing is up to him.
That is the question.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that Bennett, Lucic, Dubé line was the best line for the Flames in the playoffs. But I think
do I need to bring out the John Tortorella line? That's great for them, but not good for the Flames.
Yeah. But I think Dubé's gonna make a huge step. I think Dubé's gonna push for a top 6 spot. I don't know where, this is another, no disrespect for Lucic. I thought he played well in the playoffs, but what he does next year in a condensed schedule and how you use Lucic, that's going to be that's an interesting question, I think, for training camp going in for the Flames, how you use him. I mean, I don't know if he plays the full in a condensed, you play him all the time. So that's an interesting point. So not a foregone conclusion where Bennett is, for sure. All right. I think do we leave it there?
Yeah, let's leave it there. We got some Flame stuff in. It was tough for this week. I couldn't quite figure out they didn't have their anthem singer doing that. They didn't have their GM doing an interview, so it was tough to find Flames content, but we did.
Here.
The other thing is, if you are in Calgary, I know one of the casualties of all this is the teddy bear toss.
Yes, I thought it was a
we
very
do have the hitmen are allowing people to drive in and drop off teddy bears into a inflatable rink on the saddle by the Saddle Dome. So if you can do that, go do that. It's a very good cause. I've been to one of those games, and it's an absolute like just adrenaline and full on good moment to feel like. I'll find the videos I have. I went with Devin a few years back. We were up at the top end of the second bowl. The Saddle Dome is usually sold out for that, for a Hitman game, and it's just a lot of fun and a lot of really good energy. We don't get it this year, but let's find a way to celebrate it in other ways.
One of my regrets so far, hopefully this gets fixed here, but I missed the opportunity to see the Giants play at Pacific Coliseum, because I've always wanted to see a game at the Pacific Coliseum, but now that they moved to Langley, but I would love to. Hopefully one day they do they were talking about doing the teddy bear toss game at Pacific Coliseum.
I've been less lucky enough to go to a couple games for the Canucks in the Pacific Coliseum in the 90s, before they moved to what is now Rogers Arena. I was my first ever hockey game was at the Pacific Coliseum, first row, 1993, Canucks versus Habs. And so you had Pavel Bure, Trevor Linden in their heyday. You had Patrick Waugh, you had Guy Charbonneau on there, and everyone else on the Habs in this season where they won the cup. And it's the memory that made me a massive hockey fan. Right up against the glass, and just I had a massive hit that scared the living crap out of me, but it's something that I remember nearly 30 years later. So and then I also got to see the Giants play there once, and it's a cool arena. It's a great little arena that's pre these gigantic 20,000 seat stadiums that are now replaced, are now the norm for NHL teams. It's got some nice old school feel to it, and I don't mind that. I think you can get a little corporate and feeling with some of these newer arenas, but it was nice.
Old school arenas like the Forum, Maple Leaf Gardens, Boston Garden, the Coliseum, Quebec, even the Corral. No, we didn't last long. Had a different
the Corral. We're gonna miss that place.
Oh yeah, it just it bounced. The puck bounced in a funny way. Things looked just I missed that. I don't know.
One thing I hope that the Calgary finds a way to do is to make a smaller arena feel that way again. Max Bell in kind of feels that way at times. I think that's the best that we have now that the Corral is going to be demolished in prep for the new arena here in Calgary. But yeah, and that again, that just reminds me, another casualty of this whole thing is not having the Max Midget tournament, or whatever it's called now, Max U18 tournament.
I think would now be the name of it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So it's unfortunate. One of the nice fun traditions in Calgary around Christmas is to go watch the hockey there. Devin was lucky enough to play in it twice, but can't wait for hockey to come back, because it's too long. I've been playing NHL 20 on the Xbox One of late, and it fills a little bit of a void, but not enough. I want to be able to yell at refs and get in arguments with Tyler about reffing and all that.
Yeah. Tyler will be back next week. So how do we follow you?
I am Beardy Canuck 03 on Twitter.
I am KVOLE. Heidi is Hyde Amazeballs. Devin Gordhouse09. Schneid's SCHNEIDZ. Tyler T Noble. Podcast_hockey. Subscribe on podcasts. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. We're gonna have a little bit of a different look next week. Just to tell you, we've got some. We're gonna look different. That's what we'll say to tease. Next week will look different. We also will probably have some midweek content because I'm done the term, so I will have a little bit more time to do some midweek stuff. And we survived a penalty kill. We did not have a goal scored against us, so look at us as defense. We rule. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. And we will talk.